Okay. All right, let's get this meeting started. Sorry for the little bit of a delay. Kind of have some weather issues, but we're ready to move forward. So Anita, can you give us a roll call, please?
Sure. Corey McGraw-Abel. Here. Cheryl Culberson.
Here.
Greg Dully.
Here.
Tony Hamlin.
Here.
Lori Lalonde.
Present.
James Ryan.
Here.
And Roger Young.
All right, great, thank you. Anna, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Jennifer, you're next.
Great, thank you. So first of all, I want to welcome our new members to the LPA. We'll do a little bit of an introduction first. But first, I think everybody here knows me, but I'm Jennifer DeBouvray, and I'm the planning director with the Village. To my left is Anita Muxo. She's our planning and zoning technician, and she'll be coming to the meetings as well to do take the minutes and do roll call and votes and things like that. I'll let John introduce himself. I think you probably all know him, but I'll let him introduce himself, and then we'll just go around the table and everybody can introduce themselves.
Hi, welcome everybody. Welcome to the returning members and welcome to the new members. We're happy to have everybody here. John Quick, Village Attorney. Look forward to working with you all during your time on the LPA. A couple things I did want to mention to you all. You all are governed by what's called the Sunshine Law here in Florida. I think all of you may have heard of it. It basically means you can't talk to each other outside of a publicly noticed meeting about anything that could come before you all in the LPA. Good news is you guys are, the LPA is a more narrow focus than like the council. So, it's just what could come before you all on the LPA. So when in doubt, just give me a ring. I can give everybody my cell number and my email so you have it. So if there's any doubt, just give me a ring, and I'm happy to help you all and guide. It's always better to, I know there's the saying, it's better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. When it comes to the Sunshine Law, it's better to ask for permission than for forgiveness. So, so please give me a ring. Also, just so you all know, anything that you do in written form in connection with the LPA will be subject to what's called the Public Records Act. So any emails you send, any documents create, anything like that could need to be turned over if anybody asks makes a public records request that would encompass that. So I would please save any emails. If you want, you can always. I always encourage people, if they want, sometimes they create a separate email, makes it easier for them, just, John Doe LPA at Gmail, so that you know where it goes. Or you can always, another thing you can do is always just copy the clerk or the deputy clerk on your emails, and then that way it's within the village system. So if you make a habit of that and do that every time, you can say, it's in the village system, so you don't have to get bothered doing any searches or whatnot if that ever does come up. So just wanted to make a couple of points to, remind the returning members and make sure that the existing members know about that. But, like I said, if you do have any questions, at the end I can give everybody my cell phone so that you guys can just give me a ring and we can hash it out.
Greg?
Greg Dully. I'm a resident of Islamorada for 10 years, a local commercial real estate broker, and I serve on 2 other committees for the village.
Roger Young, contractor, 50-year resident, and that's about it.
Did you say 50?
Huh?
Did you say 50?
50.
Okay, great for you. You don't look a day past 50.
Yeah.
Corey McGraw-Abel, I guess 7th generation conch, real estate agent, and also work for the BOCC, Monroe County.
I'm Jim Ryan. I'm a professional engineer, and I've been in and out of the Keys now for about 25 years. I grew up with a lot of people on this board as well, so I'm a returning member.
So I'm Lori Lalonde Miller. I'm currently the co-chair, but I'm sitting in the chair position because Deborah has moved forward. And I am a long-term resident as well, not nearly as 50 years, but quite some time. And I am also a real estate broker.
Tony Hammond, been here since 1960, however many years that is, and taught a lot of these guys on this board, so I've been here a while.
Do you want a number? Cheryl Culberson, I'm a local attorney.
Turn your mic on, Cheryl, please.
Oh, sorry. Cheryl Culberson, I'm a local attorney. I've been a member of the LPA for a number of years, as well as affordable housing and several other local committees. I've been a resident here since 1980-something, and very interested in what we do in our community.
And I just wanted to introduce two more people in the audience. We have our new manager, Ron Saunders, in the audience, and Anna Richards, Councilwoman Anna Richards, is our council liaison. So she'll be here probably, I'm not going to speak for her, but to bring back any information to the council that we might have, or to provide reports back to them. So do either one of you want to say anything, or are you guys good? Ron, do you want to say anything, or are you all set? Okay.
No, I just want to come and introduce myself. I know most of you, and also to say thank you for your service. We appreciate the committee's service to our community, and we look forward to working with you. Anything you need from Village, please feel free to talk to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so next on the agenda is the election of the chair and the co-chair. As I mentioned earlier, I was sitting in the seat here because Deb Gillis moved on up to the dais. So at the moment, I'm looking to see if anybody is interested in taking either of these two positions.
I'd like to chair.
Okay, so we want to make a motion for Cheryl to chair?
I'll make a motion for Cheryl to chair.
Okay, and then a second?
I'll second.
Okay, anybody else interested? All right, anyone take a vote?
Who's the first and the second?
I made the motion.
I think I second the motion.
Corey McGraw-Able,
Yes. Sorry.
Greg Dully,
Yes.
Cheryl Culberson,
Yes.
Tony Hammond,
Yes.
Lori Lalonde,
Yes.
Jean Frank,
Yes.
and Roger Young.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. All right, and then co-chair?
I'd like to nominate Jim Ryan.
Jim, would you accept that position, or do you want to?
Would you like to do it again? I think you did a pretty good job.
I don't mind doing it, but I don't want to take it away from somebody else who would have an opportunity.
Would you like to do it?
Okay, so the answer is Jim is not interested in
I
the
just think you did a
co-chair
good
at this
job.
position, at
If-
this point in time. I'll be happy to accept that as long as everyone else is in favor of it.
Jimmy, would you like me to withdraw my motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, I withdraw my motion nominating Mr. Ryan. I'd like to nominate Lori Lalonde as co-chair.
There needs to be a second.
Second.
Okay. Anita, would you call the vote, please?
Cheryl Culberson,
Yes.
Tony Hammond,
Yes.
Corey McGraw-Able,
Yes.
Greg Dully,
Yes.
Lori Lalonde,
Yes.
Jean Frank,
Yes.
and Roger Young.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay.
We want to
Cheryl.
just swap seats real quick, or Cheryl move to the center?
Let's just stay put. It hurts to move right now.
Okay. take
Thank-
over chair.
Thank you, everyone. I like short meetings. Let's see if we can get going. Anybody have a request for an emergency addition or deletion? Anybody here? Seeing none, let's move on. Public comment. We have an opportunity here for anybody in the audience to speak on any matters that is not coming before us this evening. Do I have any requests for public comment at this time? Seeing none, we're moving on.
They have to sign up, so.
Oh,
Anita-
sorry.
They have to sign up in advance, so Anita has tickets.
Okay.
Actually, this person signed up for items in the agenda, but no general public comment. Let me check Zoom.
Okay.
Dylan on Zoom.
So we have no outside public comment attendance. Okay, thank you. Public comments closed. This time we have the consent agenda. We need to approve the minutes from the April 14th, 2025 meeting, which was the last one. Does anybody have any additions or deletions that need to go into the minutes?
No, I make a motion to approve the minutes as stated.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
You can't.
Okay. Anita, could you call the vote, please?
We need to open public comment for that.
Oh, I'm sorry. On the minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on consent agenda, so the minutes.
Yeah, we opened public comment on consent.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't see that in my notes. Okay, any public comment on the minutes from the previous meeting?
I don't have anyone
I have no
signed up.
requests, seeing none in the audience. Let's close that. Anita, could you call the roll, please?
Sure. Lori Vaughn,
Yes.
Tiffany Hammond,
Yes.
Queen McGraw-Able,
Yes.
Cheryl Culbertson,
Yes.
Greg Dolly,
Yes.
Tony Hammond.
Yes.
Oh, I already called you.
You got me already, but I'll vote twice. That's all right. Do I need to rescind one?
Yeah. Get a head start.
Gene Fine
Yes.
and Roger Young.
Yes.
It's because we look alike.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. All right. I'm unsure, we're at public hearings. Is it Jennifer or Mr. Quick, if you take over? I'm not sure who reads the ordinance of hearing before us.
I'm going to read it. I'm just, sorry, my internet's a little slow. I'm pulling up the file. Unless you have the ordinance. Sorry, give me 1 second. I know I'm slowing down the, oh, perfect. It's an ordinance of Islamorada Village of Islands, Florida, amending policy 1-3.1.3, institute a program for transfer of development rights, providing for the transmittal of this ordinance to the State Department of Commerce, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date upon the approval of this ordinance by the State Department of Commerce.
So this is, we have a companion article for, our companion ordinance for this one for the code. So I don't know if we, in the past, we've done these together. We've done both of them at the same time. Do we want to, is the LPA amenable to doing the two at the same time?
Is everybody on board with doing this both at the same time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So let me read the other title, and then we'll take them as separate votes, but we'll consider them together.
Okay.
So the other title is an ordinance of Islamorada Village of Islands, Florida, amending Village Code Sections 30-504, transfer procedure, and Section 30-506, transfer of development rights for residential dwelling units and density, providing for the transmittal of this ordinance to the State Department of Commerce, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date upon approval of this ordinance by the State Department of Commerce.
Thank you.
Thank you. LPA, again, Jennifer DeBobrian, Planning Director. These two ordinances, one is the amending policy 1-3.1.3 in the comprehensive plan, and the other one is amending the code sections 30-504 and 30-506. Both relate to the transfer of development rights, or otherwise known as TDR ordinances. This item is twofold, or threefold, I should say. We are looking to allow the transfer of density to be able to transfer from one resident, if it's residential, to residential. Right now, our code has a chart, and if you're in a certain zoning district, you have to look over and you have to follow whatever zoning district you're in. We want to try to eliminate the confusion of that chart and the complexity of that chart and say, if it allows residential development, you should be able to transfer into a residential TDR into residential development. Simple as that. That's the first part of it. The second part of it is a environmental piece that Daniel Parabach, our senior environmental planner and biologist, is here tonight, and I'll let him speak to that in a minute. And then the third piece of it is to remove the restriction that you can't transfer into V zones, velocity zones. This was because this is a request by actually a council member for us to consider based on the new regulations, the FEMA regulations for construction. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to limit somebody's ability to transfer there if they still have to build it up and make it flood proof and all of this. So if they can meet those requirements, let them build in the V zone. We have I think we talked last in April about the affordable housing project we removed from the V zone. So this is similar issue with that. So those are the two that I was going to speak to. I'll let Daniel come up to the microphone and speak about the environmental one's a little more complex. That's why Daniel's going to speak to that.
Good evening, everybody. Again, Daniel Parabach, Senior Environmental Planner. So we were requested to make the environmental portion of the TDR ordinance more flexible to be able to move TDRs into properties that have more than one habitat type instead of not allowing any transfer if it contains one, even if it's not the area to be developed. So we are allowing transfer from more sensitive to same or less sensitive, but only in the areas to be developed. So you can't transfer and build into a more sensitive than where the TDR came from. That's kind of the simplistic view of it all. And then I would like to add that all the regular environmental protection and development standards still apply even after the transfer happens. So it's not being flexible on the actual building requirements, environmental requirements, it's just on the transferability of itself. So that's what we did.
And then just one more thing. I know, there's talk about why are we making changes to ordinances. We're doing a comprehensive plan. We did send these proposed changes to Able City East for review. We didn't hear any particular comments, positive or negative, from them on these specific changes, but they are aware of them and they will incorporate these into the new comprehensive plan if they get passed. So they are aware of what the village is looking to do and are following the processes that we're going through at this time. So Able City is aware of this process.
So that's all we need to know about this. We can begin the discussion on this.
Yeah, if there's any questions, Daniel and I are here to answer them.
Okay. All right. All right, let's start with the first one. Or if we can take them both at a time, but I thought we'd start with the first one where I gotta find my line. This is all the TDRs, but the bottom line is, does anybody have any problem with the way it's presented and modified? Let's start, Mr. Dooley, with you. I'm just going to come around.
No, I'm good with it.
Mr. Young.
My question was, is still water to water, dry to dry?
Yes. Oh, you can take a water to dry.
Can you? No, you can't take dry water.
No.
No, I'm just making sure.
You go uphill, but you're not coming downhill.
Yeah.
Because most V-zone stuff would be water anyway.
Yeah.
There aren't too many V-zones in dry.
Okay. Oh, I have a question as it comes to that for the biologist, if I might. Is there anything in this, or am I in the wrong section, that addresses runoff by building in the V-zone? Is there something is that addressed somewhere? I just want to make sure that we're
not in the TDRs itself, but in the regular building code, all stormwater is.
Okay, so that addresses negative runoff that would be negative to the surrounding area, correct?
You're required to maintain all the stormwater on site.
Okay, I'm just making sure that that's addressed. It was a question brought up to me. Ms. Abel.
No questions.
Okay, Mr. Ryan.
No questions yet, but I want to
Okay.
hear.
Ms. Miller, sorry.
I think this is needed, and I think this is a simplified solution to a complex situation that we currently have going on. I think your residents will have a better understanding of what is possible with a transferable development right, and so I think these are some really good changes, some really good work was done.
Mr. Hammond?
No, I read through it. It looks, the staff recommended that we approve it, and I don't see any reason not to.
Well, this was, I can tell you that having sat on the committee when it first came in front of affordable housing, because that's where this came from initially, was this is exactly what we all thought we were getting. Somehow or another it morphed into something different. But the ability for a TDR, which is created to solve other issues, to go to like-minded or less delicate properties was always the intent. None of the scale, the confusing language that we're looking at. I think it makes much more sense. It protects the ability of us to take the housing that we have, put in other places. If we have to, there is a subject we have to address at a later time, and that's floor area ratio, that you shouldn't be able to, the problem of putting something oversized on a smaller lot. But that's floor area ratio. That's a whole different world. The concept of TDR, I think, is presented. I'm fine with both of them the way they're coming in front of us. So, do we have anybody other more comments?
Yeah, I got just one question. I guess I want to know this. I'm not too familiar with this grant conservation, the easement. What does that do to a sender site? Is that a good question for you?
Do you want to speak to it or do you want me to speak? You can go ahead.
What type of limitations does that put on a sender site?
So that's not a new change. That's current language. So
Okay.
once the building rights have been exhausted completely on a sender site, all the protected, it's not the whole site, it's just the protected habitat goes in a granted conservation easement. And the limitations is just passive use only. You're not allowed to do any development.
Even to any scarified area on that property?
That does not go into easement.
That doesn't go into
It's just the protected habitat.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, you can't move a mahogany and lignum vitae to another site. Which is, somebody told me they were going to do it, and I went, really? No, I don't think so. Okay, any other questions from the committee? All right, any public comment? And that next. Any comments?
We
For the
do
public?
have public comment for this item. Ty Harris?
Thank you for taking some time to listen to me on this. Ty Harris, 110 Plantation Shores Drive. This process started when I was the planning director, and we couldn't quite get over the hump with how we were going to handle the environmental part of it, and we had a lot of smart people looking at it, and it looks like it's finally been resolved. But this started because of a property that was 2 acres in size on the ocean that had multiple habitats, but only had 600 square feet of high-quality hammock at the very front. But because of the 600 square feet of high-quality hammock, it kept the TDR from transferring because that was stopping it. And there were discussions with Department of Commerce. Department of Commerce says, fix your code. So congratulations to Jennifer and Daniel for finally getting a draft that looks like it's going to do that. I just want to flip to the number side of this, which I think is equally as important. The village has a fiduciary duty to manage and spend our tax dollars wisely. And right now, we have 2 market rate allocations left in the pot. One for this quarter, one for the first quarter of next year, and we have 19 allocations reserved for administrative relief. As of today, we have 49 people that are in BPAS. I'm not good at math, but I know that 2 plus 19 doesn't equal 49. So we know there's a gap just of the ones that are right now in process, that are in the line. So this is an opportunity for those folks to have an alternative to purchase a TDR and get out of line, which accomplishes 2 things. It takes somebody out of the line and also allows them to build. And I would much rather see my tax dollars spent on improving the Founders Park, buying conservation land, than spent dealing with takings cases, no matter what your opinion on is of those. But those folks that are in line right now have a pretty good argument that they're entitled to a building allocation. So applaud staff for all the work they've done on it, and I would urge you to pass this ordinance as written. Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? Ms. Muxo?
Let me check Zoom. No, no one else.
Okay. And public comment, seeing no further public comment's closed. I do have one comment that I need to ask Ms. DeBroussard and the others. I was reading through on page 14 of the 460 we had about the comp plan, and as I dug down into the second part of it, number 11 talks about special use regulations, and it addressed the subject of helistop and seaplane landing areas. I thought we took that out of here. Seaplanes haven't been able to land in the creek when they used to land in front of my house by the coast. They don't want the Coast Guard doesn't want them in the creeks. And we had a problem with seaplanes, but the biggest problem I see is a helicopter landing pad. Now, currently, as I understand it, you could land a helicopter over if you live on Tavernero. It is a designated
Correct.
air track. Do we need to strike that period so that we're not dealing with this? Because there are no seaplane ramps at this time, and I would not want us to get into having seaplane traffic coming in and out of here.
Where in the comp plan? are
I'm
you
on page 15 of 490, and it says I'm on
It's in your
consistency with
communication.
comprehensive plan, and it's number
She's talking about your
11.
communication.
Special use regulations, which also, by the way, governs adult uses, and I have some questions about that.
In my conflict, sorry. Under the comp plan one?
Yes, ma'am.
Comp plan communications, it looks like. And it's actually on the communication for the,
It's under policy 1-4.2.1.
1.1. That's the policy,
We don't need that.
right, that policy is that,
you're showing that it's consistent with
that's
the comp plan.
consistent with us implementing the land development regulations, is that's what this talks about, because it addresses TDRs. The seaplane stuff is just part of that as well. You know, in our update, we can certainly talk to Able City about removing that language if the
Okay.
village is not interested in having that language.
I had done some
remain in there.
research prior to this, like 4 years ago, and I found 5 different ones, particularly this town of Palm Beach, which specifically prohibits seaplanes, helicopters, et cetera, landing within Palm Beach. They can only land for emergency or national issues, which solves their problem with Mar-a-Lago. But it's been challenged, and if Palm Beach wins, everybody pretty much has been able to write it well. So it's a concern, as I have expressed before, because of the problems that were occurring across the creek from me, where they took the old Richmond's Landing and were attempting to put in a helicopter port there on top of a rookery, protected land, national park, and power lines. So we need to make sure we don't have any exceptions with that. That got my
I can have
attention.
them look at that for you.
Okay, and it was brought to my attention that adult use has raised some questions because we thought that Woody's license had gone away.
It had. It
Good,
has.
just making sure. Can we strike that one too? Or do we need to strike it now?
Yeah,
Is this
that is as part of the update, I believe that is going away because Woody's is no longer.
Okay, so.
We had to keep it in there as long as Woody's was operating, but once Woody's disappeared, not disappeared, but once that license
Went
went
away?
away, we can now remove it
It is
from-
extinguished, not to be.
Yes, it is.
Not
It
to be
is.
revived. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Do we recommend striking these, or do we bring this back up to?
Well, that has nothing to do with what you're voting on
Oh,
tonight.
no, but I'm just looking at the seaplan and helistop one too.
Yeah, but that also has nothing to do with what you're looking at
Okay, I'm just
tonight.
making sure that we don't miss that going
Yep,
forward.
we won't. I'll take care of that.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any further comments? Anybody else find anything good too? All right. Ms. Quicks, are we the appropriate place to take a vote?
Yes, we are, and I would take them each one separately.
Okay.
You can start with whichever one you
No,
all
do I
choose.
have to do the comp plan first? Don't I have to do the comp plan first?
That's just a recommendation, but.
Oh, okay.
we-
I move to
mean,
approve.
At council, we would take the comp plan first, so we can
Okay,
do that.
so do we take Mr. Hammond's move to approve?
I move to approve.
I second.
And that's the one related to the comp plan, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
First time.
Part one. All right, could you call the roll, please, Anita?
Sure. Tammy Hammond,
Yes.
Lord of the Lawn,
Yes.
Corey McGraw-Able,
Yes.
Cheryl Culbertson,
Yes.
Greg Dolly,
Yes. Yes.
James Ryan,
Yes.
and Roger Young.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. All right, do I hear a motion on, as to the second part of,
Which is what, ordinance 25?
are we on ordinance 25 now?
Yeah, the one that's amending, the ordinance amending the future land use map.
Hold on.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
I am off my game, yes. It's the one amending the code, chapter 30, sorry.
Okay. Are we good now with what we've put on the record?
Yeah, it's all me, I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'm just making sure. I don't want to have to come back. Okay.
And Tony was the first, and Lori's the second.
Yes.
Okay. Tony Hammond,
Yes.
Lori Lalonde,
Yes.
Corey McGraw-Able,
Yes.
Cheryl Culbertson,
Yes.
Greg Dolly,
Yes.
Gene Sarai,
Yes.
and Roger Young.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
The next two are also companion ordinances. One is related to amendment to a future land use map, and the other one is related to amending the zoning map. Would you all like to take those together as well? Again, understand we would vote separately on them, though.
Sure.
What's everybody's feeling? Take it together? Okay.
All right, I'll read the two titles then.
Thank you.
First is an ordinance of Islamorada Village of Islands, Florida, considering the request of Ty Harris, PA, agent for Leben Family LLP, to amend the village's future land use map from residential conservation to mixed use for the subject property located at 76800 Overseas Highway, located on Lower Matacumbe Key, with real estate numbers 00396950-000200, as legally described herein, providing for the transmittal of this ordinance to the State Department of Commerce, and providing for an effective date upon the approval of this ordinance by the State Department of Commerce. The second is an ordinance of Islamorada Village of Islands, Florida, considering the request of Ty Harris, PA, agent for Leben Family LLP, to amend the official zoning map from native residential to neighborhood commercial for the subject property located at 76800 Overseas Highway, located on Lower Matacumbe Key, with real estate number 00396950-000200, as legally described herein, providing for the transmittal of this ordinance to the State Department of Commerce, and providing for an effective date upon the approval of this ordinance by the State Department of Commerce.
Great, thanks, everybody. So for those who have been on the LPA, you may remember this was heard before you in April. So for the new members, I'll just give them a brief update. And at our April meeting, this was presented to the council, to the LPA as a simple change from one zoning district to the other. There was some concern by LPA members about the extensive amount of uses that would be allowed in the new commercial zoning district for that property. So they asked that the applicant's representative, Mr. Harris, and I go back and discuss options. So we did that, and this is us coming back with the proposed new options. So I'm not going to go through the whole big presentation again unless you guys want me to, but what we did come back with is we're proposing a sub-area district in the comprehensive plan, which would be policy 1-2.11.6, the Lower Matacumbe Key Mixed Use Area 1. And this new sub-area policy would limit the uses of the property to public and private recreational uses and storage. So that would be the only uses allowed on the property. So they could do outdoor and indoor storage, and then they could do recreational facilities, whether they be public recreational facilities or private recreational facilities. So that would be all that we would authorize on that property. I know, Cheryl, you had a lot of issues with it, so I didn't know if that addressed your concerns.
I think that covers, as long as we can, because we had the discussion about, because it originally was a tennis club.
Yes.
Which was private use. It doesn't create much events because the discussion been, well, it could, private event club. Doesn't. My concern, as I said previously, was that this is the only green space there is that's a usable destination on Lower Matacumbe. I know a lot of people take that old road. They love to walk up there. It'd be a great place to, as I discussed with Harris, to have something sitting there. You have a place, walk your dog up there, go ride your bike, and if we could keep some sort of recreation facility down on the back side of that, and storage units are perfect there. We've already discussed the fact that that's a crocodile preserve there. There are, 3 sinkholes there that are significant. There's a lot of significant things there. We just need to make sure that we're observing that. But there does need to be a place for people in Lower Matt to go to. There is nothing that we as a community have put down there. So it would make an ideal location for people to walk, ride their bikes, whatever they want to do. And it also would be a great place to have storage, because there is no more place for storage on Lower Matt. Having lived down there right across from this, I think it's great. Mr. Dooley, sir, do you have any comments on this?
I do not. I'm not familiar with the property, to be honest, so I don't have a comment at this time.
Okay. Mr. Young?
I'm with you on it.
Okay. Ms. Abel? I agree 100%. Mr. Ryan?
Mike.
Yeah, I think it addresses some of the concerns that I had last meeting. I think the mixed use, flume is it's extensive. So I think this limits. I hate putting more work on the hands of, our employees here making the sub area. But if it's what has to happen here, it's what has to happen here. So I do like the solution. Thank you.
So I have a question. Jennifer, what is the maximum amount of area that could be used on this parcel for outdoor storage?
I don't have that answer. That's research I'd have to do, because I don't have the parcel in front of me. I'd have to calculate that information for you. I don't have that number. I mean, they couldn't go beyond the scarified area because of the hammock. So at a maximum, it would be the scarified area, but I'd have to go look at the surrounding zoning. If it's, as you know, if it's abutting residential, it's only 70. It's not, it's commercial. So, I mean, it's conservation. So, I'd have to go back in and look at give me a minute if you want to keep going.
Jennifer can give you an exact square footage, but they're required to have 20% open space of the current scarified area. So it'd be 80% of what's currently there could be used for either use.
And what types of buffers are required for outdoor storage?
We'd have to look. They definitely need a street buffer up front. So that would be a 20-foot Class D street buffer in the front. And then the side, it borders conservation, I think.
It does,
So I'm not sure if they're going to need side. Well, on one side is hammock, so they wouldn't need one there. There might be one on the Key Largo side, but I don't think so. Jennifer can look that up too while she's looking.
I think they would lose some space even on those tennis courts too, if they had to.
It's all usable space. 80% of what's there currently is usable, because they have a 20% open space requirement for the area that's already scarified. So,
Do we want, Jenny?
So in theory, Daniel, if they could take 80% of what's there that's scarified and use it for storage, or they could use 80% of it for tennis courts or whatever they decided was financially feasible for them. Is that correct?
Yes, unless there's an FAR restriction that I'm not aware of.
And then the surrounding area is all Class 1 hammock, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And there was a HEI done for the hammock on the property, and it's high quality hammock.
Okay.
We have Mr. Harris here. We'd like to hear from Mr. Harris.
If you'd like to speak.
Mr. Harris, sir, would you like to enlighten us on anything else we possibly missed?
Thank you. Again, Ty Harris from Ty Harris, PA, 110 Plantation Shores Drive. I represent the trust, not any individual that has an ownership interest, but the trust itself. And for the folks that weren't here, a little history is always good. So, as you all know, we've been here, the tennis center operated as a private club and a private tennis center since 1995. And it was going on just fine. COVID happens, membership drops down to nothing, and it closes down, and it's had a series of problems since then. But the village, in its infinite wisdom, in 1998, when it was going through its MAP series, decided that despite the fact that there was a robust commercial use on the property, that it should be designated residential. And not only residential, but residential conservation. Residential conservation requires a minimum of 4 acres. The property is 3.1 acres. setting up the meeting that we're having tonight and the meeting that we had in April, because once the tennis center stopped operating for 12 months, it lost its legal non-conforming status and could not be reborn as the tennis center or anything else. It was actually deprived of all economic viable uses. So at that point, the discussion became, well, what do we do? And the family, through the trust, wants to sell the property. And of course, being sensitive to Lower Matacumbe and what uses would be appropriate for this property in Lower Matacumbe, the zoning that would allow a tennis center as it was constituted to come back, there's only two zonings: Village Center or neighborhood commercial. So we took the lesser of two evils and went with the neighborhood commercial with a voluntary proffer that every part of the property that was designated as conservation would stay in conservation. Jennifer then asked if we would provide for an HCI that would specify exactly what was in conservation, which is not a requirement of the application, but we did that so that we have a very precise, outline of where you can build, which is the scarified area that's already developed, and where the conservation would go. That's always been part of the plan. But in the last discussion, as you started to hear, there were a lot of discussions about, well, geez, all these other uses could actually go on the site. Even as I'm standing up here saying we're willing to take that, I gave them a list of things that we were willing to take off, but because those types of covenants can drop off in 30 years, there was discussion of doing this as a sub-area policy. So once we whittled down the uses to what everybody was comfortable with, we went back and did it as a sub-area policy versus a straight zoning and comp plan change to ensure that 30 years from now, it stays either storage and rec or just storage. So that's the genesis of how we've gotten here. And what's before the board tonight. So I hope I took that 30 minutes or 45 minutes we spent and distilled it into 3 or 4. And if you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Go ahead.
I think Cheryl brought up a question about the building that's on the property last time. What do we need to have a conversation about that?
Well, that gets kind of out of the what we're discussing tonight. So anything that comes in there is going to have a site plan, because it's lost its ability to be anything. And so whoever buys the property, whether it's a combination of recreation storage or if it's just recreation as a private club. But remember, the reason we did it this way was that a private club would only be limited to recreation, and you can't just go with a strict rec category because that wouldn't allow storage. And so the only way to do it was the sub-area policy. So I don't know what's going to end up happening. I know there are different people interested in purchasing. I think one of those groups would be straight recreation, and that would be great. If the other people that are interested in it are talking about storage and maybe some recreation, I'm not the real estate agent. I just know that I want to give them those opportunities because I think from a planning standpoint, we would all rather see recreation. But either one of those uses is compatible with Lower Matacumbe and in that neighborhood.
Just want to address, so there would be a buffer yard required on the Key Largo side, I guess. It would be a 10-foot wide, it's a Class A buffer, so it's 10 feet wide with 2 canopy trees and 10 shrubs.
And that's against the conservation.
Yes, because it's against conservation. The other side, because it's already hammock, wouldn't require a buffer. This one's because it's scarified up to the property line. And then the outdoor storage and display section of our code is actually more restrictive. So if the outdoor storage is principal use, they can't exceed 75% of the net buildable area. And if it's an accessory use to an established commercial business, it can't exceed 50% of the net buildable area. So it's actually more restrictive than the environmental code.
And it's just so I know we talk about some of these sinkholes and things, but There's a couple properties there. The property that you're referencing, the 50%, is just that parcel in the front. It's not, it doesn't go all the way back, I call it the wheel ditch, but all the way back to the wheel ditch.
Correct.
It's just.
That's a separate property.
It's a separate property, so 50% of that parcel in the front, not all the way to the wheel
Well, no,
ditch.
it's 50% of the net buildable area, so.
Net
you-
buildable,
Yeah.
buildable,
so-
sorry.
Correct. But it's net buildable area on that parcel in the front.
The scarified, gotcha. Okay, so minus any buffers too. I have a question real quick about just, I guess, the procedural. We don't have the sub-area approved or anything, so does this, I guess, sit in limbo?
I just read it to you.
No, but, okay, so that's what I don't see, I guess, that portion of our.
I just gave you the number and what the uses would be.
Okay, can you give me those one
What
more
page are
time?
you reading off of?
Yeah,
We've got 460 pages. We're getting a little lost.
It's okay. Under the one that's the future land use map, if you go to
it's part of the application.
the council communication, I think it's 1, 2, 3. Right before the budget impact, the last paragraph in the analysis.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, I've got
We are proposing to include.
Yep,
There's
policy 1-2.11.6, Lower Matacumbe Key Mixed Use Area 1, and limit the uses of the property to public and private recreational uses and storage.
Yeah, I see it. I
Got it.
I don't see it in, I guess, structured like we normally change them, but if that suffices, that suffices.
I think for your recommendation, that suffices. I don't know what else you would want me to do.
Well, normally it's like a strike through, we get our highlighted added, it's, if we do, I guess,
If you're
code
looking at the
changes.
analysis, you have to go over and look at the other change. Hold on.
All good.
For plums and zoning, you don't typically get that.
We don't need that.
Well, you don't typically get that, though.
Right,
Okay.
Like
No,
if we were
I'm
doing
not-
like
I'm saying like a section, I guess.
if we were doing a text amendment or something, you would get
Exactly.
that, but this is not that.
Okay, so we can add both of these just through
Mm-hmm.
this? Okay, fine. No one's going to be opposed to us adding mixed use and.
Well, you're just
section
making a
one,
recommendation, you're not adding anything.
Okay. Well, what if we don't get mixed use sub-area 1 Lower Matacumbe? But we approve this today for mixed use 1?
Well,
sub-area
your
1.
recommendation, as however you vote it, is going to go to the council, and then
Okay.
they will review that, and they'll make their decision.
Okay.
I can't promise that they're going to follow your recommendation, but I'll give them your recommendation.
I got it. No.
For the record, we're not changing, we're not gonna do a 180 on you and get to council and say, oh, well, I know LPA said this is what we really want.
No, I'm not worried about that, but I'm worried about council saying this is kind of the same thing I said. Hey, look, we don't want another sub-area. We're trying to limit sub-areas,
They could likely do that.
And then we've approved this, and they say, no, we approved the mixed use. I mean, that's kind of, I guess.
They could do that,
100%,
and they have the right to do that.
100%. So I just wanted to get in front of that, I guess, procedurally and say, do we need to wait for, Lower Matacumbe Key Mixed Use Area 1, Sub-Area 1, before this moves any further? That's the only thing I was saying, because this is the first time I'm seeing Lower Matacumbe Mixed Use Area 1.
I still don't think I understand what you're asking.
We're
It's
just,
okay. I don't want to confuse anybody else then.
we're just a recommendatory board.
I understand that.
So,
But I feel like I'm approved, we're not approving, but we're recommending, I'll keep using the word, something that doesn't exist yet. That's my only concern. But if
That's
it's
why you're recommending it, because it doesn't exist yet and you want it to exist.
But we're recommending it to exist through, I don't want to confuse anybody else, but we're recommending it through his application, which is a little funny to me. That's it. That's all I'm saying. But if it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal. No one else sees it funny?
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just.
It's a semantic
his
issue.
application is to Kevin.
so
Yeah,
the difference,
we're like-
the difference between what you're trying to say is that you're right. We are putting forth, hey, an additional restriction on what Ty has originally asked
Yeah.
for, right? Because what he's originally asked for, we don't feel that property fits that category,
100%.
that criteria, because in essence, what Ty originally came to us was an upzone. We were not interested in upzoning the property. We're interested in keeping it consistent with what its current use is, but also allowing for another opportunity, even though it's a small and restricted opportunity, for a new owner to generate some income.
Last time we
That's
did this,
reasonable.
I'll just say, last time I remember doing this, it was along the lines of like a deed restriction, if you will. This is the first time this, I guess, new zoning category or a FLUM category has came in front of us like this. I think normally we do like deed restrictions for something like this.
we
So
did it on.
I'm just confused why we're going this separate avenue this time a little bit.
We did it on Sojourn. We did it on Winley Key.
We didn't make sub areas.
Yes,
Yeah, we did.
We absolutely did.
On sub for Sojourn.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. It's called fishing, commercial fishing.
And we made a sub area under the commercial fishing.
Okay.
Because we didn't want to have a building. Remember,
Okay.
I was like, there's no room for a building, but if
Right,
you.
there was no room for building on a Sojourn
But if you
property.
wanted it through so a sub-area policy is basically, the old adage of a belt and suspenders. And if we were anywhere else in Florida, and Jennifer will tell you this, planners usually have this tool in their toolbox called a PUD, a planned unit development, which allows you to craft in the zoning component and stay away from the comp plan component a specific use and a specific plan. And you actually even usually get a site plan attached to that. But because we don't have PUDs in Monroe County's area critical state concern, we're left with these more exotic changes to the comprehensive plan. And if you actually read our comprehensive plan, it encourages the use of sub-areas, even though from a planning standpoint, it is a major pain in the you-know-what. We would, as planners, we would much rather see this happen on the zoning side and not in the comp plan side. But we're limited to the tools we have, and this is the tool that gets this job done and effectuates the recommendation that you guys want to make.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And if it makes you feel better, I think John just pointed out to me what I think now you want to see is what it actually is going to look like in the comprehensive plan, like the little chart with the sub area policy.
Love that stuff.
So I can.
That's because you're an engineer.
That will obviously go to the council in that format because it's in a formal vote. I can send that to you in advance if that would make you feel better.
That's good. I just have verbal's fine with me. I just want to make sure it's out there.
I'm just glad that you went through the explanation of what confused you, because I'm quite sure other people are confused by it too. And I think that was an outstanding set of explanations of what is a very confusing situation.
I didn't mean to confuse anybody.
No, you didn't.
I just want to get it straight. That's it.
Well, I like the fact that you said it, and I like the fact that we were able to have a discussion, and more people probably understand it now as to how we got there. And then Ty added in some of the information that the rest of us need to know. I didn't know anything about a PUD. What's a PUD?
And I'm sorry if my presentation was confusing.
No, it's us. It's us. We should have met before. I thought I knew everything.
Are we ready for public comment? Any other public comment besides Mr. Harris? Anybody on your list, Anita?
I don't have anyone inside. Let me double check them.
Anybody? She's just checking. Okay.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Okay. Hearing and seeing no one else interested in public comment is closed. Any further discussion with the LPA? I do have one comment. I had brought up the subject of the fact that there was a housing unit, considered to be a housing unit in there when they built it, because the pro and then just somebody else who was a maintenance guy used to live in that building. What do we need to do to reserve that or preserve it? What do we need to do? Because it was there, and no people lived in there, even when I was living down there.
Well, we have no proof that they've never received an allocation. To my knowledge, they've never done a dwelling unit determination. They can come in and do a dwelling unit determination, and we can determine if there was ever an allocation there or a unit there. But if they can't meet the criteria in our code, then I can't give them an allocation.
I don't want to lose a housing unit we possibly have. It's just like the ones on top of Rip's at the barbecue place. We all know Rip lived upstairs. So, all right, any other comments from this group? A motion from anybody? Jim, you got something else you want to bring
No, I
up?
was just laughing. Giggling.
And this would be on, now we're on the future land use map ordinance, so this would be a motion on I said now we're actually on the future land use map ordinance,
Okay.
not the one I mentioned before. So this would be on the future land use map, and then the second one would be on the zoning map change.
Okay.
I'll do it. I'll make the motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
With the sub-area policy.
I think that's as it's presented, Jennifer. That's in the presentation.
Mr. Rexo, would you call the roll, please? We have a first and a second.
James Ryan,
Yes.
Roger Young,
Yes.
Corey McGraw-Able,
Yes.
Cheryl Culberson,
Yes.
Greg Dolly,
Yes.
Tony Hammond,
Yes.
Lori Lalonde.
Yes.
All right, that's motion passes 7-0.
Okay. All right. Mr. Quick, sir, Mr. Dubersard, do we have anything else that needs to come before us?
Yeah,
No, we
yeah,
got
there's
one
one more
more.
vote. It's on the
I've
ordinance
lost a
to
couple of
Zoning
pages.
map.
here.
amend the zoning
I'm
map.
having trouble.
Yeah.
Do you need to read it, or can we?
I read it when we started, but yeah, so it would just be a motion and a vote on that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about doing the second vote.
Okay,
My
I'll
apologies.
make a motion to approve this one as well as, or recommend approval as presented.
Second.
James Ryan,
Yes.
Tony Hammond,
Yes.
Corey McGraw-Able,
Yes.
Cheryl Culberson,
Yes.
Greg Dolly,
Yes.
Lori Lalonde,
Yes.
and Roger Young.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
I think that's it.
Jennifer, can you just confirm our next meeting?
Yes.
Sorry,
It's okay.
before everyone breaks.
Our next meeting was going to be July 7th, but I'm on vacation and John is also on vacation, so I think we're gonna not meet that week. And then our next meeting after that is August 4th.
August 4th.
So there's probably a good chance we're not meeting on July 7th.
No.
Yeah, I think it's
That works
100%
for
chance
me.
we're not meeting on July 7th.
Okay.
Unless you want to meet without me and John.
Well, if you want to go to Bimini, we're good. Or we could go Abaco. Okay. Any other motions to come or other business to come before the committee, by any of the committee members?
Motion to adjourn?
Second on that? I'll second that. Everybody vote by leaving?
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thanks, John.
Thank you.